Hi Falcons, my name is Annabelle Ehmer and I am part of the Fairless Future Committee. I have asked Mr. Hearn to speak with us on some current concerns and questions that our community members may have about our upcoming levy on November 4th. Mr. Hearn, thank you for your time and we look forward to supporting Fairless. So Mr. Hearn, could you just give us a brief update on what we should expect on the ballot this year?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Annabelle for being here today as an alum and somebody who's helping the Levy Committee. It's great to see our youth out there doing good things, and for the opportunity to be able to talk to the community about our renewal levy. What you're going to see on the ballot on in November is a renewal of an existing substitute levy that has been on the books in Fairless since around 1993. It is a combination of two levies from 93 and 1996 that were turned into a substitute levy about 15 years ago. So the actual levy you're going to see is renewing that for a 10-year period of time. It's going to be collecting the exact same dollar amount that it has collected since it was first passed early in the 90s, and it will be for 3.6 mils. So you'll notice as house values have gone up in the district, the amount of millage needed to collect that same dollar amount has gone down.
So you talked about a dollar amount. How much will this levy cost me per month to support the school district?
So this levy costs the owner of a $100,000 home around $9.17 per month. If your house is worth more than that, you would just simply multiply that number and it would tell you what this levy is going to collect per month.
Super, thank you. Why does the district need more money?
It's a great question, and I'd just like to be straightforward about this. This is not seeking additional revenue. What we've been trying to do in Fairless is really work on a flat budget as much as humanly possible and not go back to the voters and ask for additional revenue. So what we're seeking is, in combination with revenue from the state, the renewal levy passing, that we have a flat budget is what we're working from.
So knowing that you try and keep a flat and tight budget, what cuts have you already made preparing for this renewal levy?
So if you go back over really the last 20 years, you'll see that Fairless Local Schools has made pretty substantial cuts. When you guys were in school, there was not elementary art, there was not elementary phys ed, they didn't have elementary or middle school art or middle school phys ed. So there were pretty deep cuts made in the last 15 to 20 years. And I think it's really important for our voters and our parents to know that since those deep cuts were made years ago, very little has been brought back brand new. What we've done is we've transformed some positions. So as enrollments shifted, which allowed us to bring back elementary art, bring back elementary phys ed, same thing at the middle school. But then the things that you see in our district that's new and exciting, like our aviation sciences program, our STEM programs, those are positions where we've taken teachers that may have been teaching something else and we've transformed that position. So programmatically, we've been able to add a lot of things without adding staff. Now, what cuts we have made in the last year, we knew we were going to be going into a tough budget cycle with the state of Ohio. And so the district took proactive steps, and last spring we cut about $800,000 in staff out of our budget, staff and curriculum materials. So what we are seeing this year is we are down some paraprofessional positions. We've removed Spanish from the middle school. We have reduced some teaching positions where maybe enrollment didn't match the amount of teachers we had. And so we've done everything we can to maintain a balanced budget. If the levy renewal passes, our forecast will show us continuing to be able to balance our budget for the next several years. We will still probably have to make some additional attrition to keep that trend moving forward, but we're focused on being able to do that because we do not want to be coming out to the voters asking for additional revenue.
Mr. Hearn, this is a beautiful new high school, but a big question within our community is why did we spend all the pipeline money on this new building? Why didn't we use that money for other operations?
That's a great question, and I appreciate that because I know that's something that I've heard myself in the community. I think we have a couple of things we just have to, let's just talk facts on a couple levels. One, the district had an opportunity to receive 70% of funding for a new building. We did not have that option for rehabilitating an old building. So, the first step is could the district look at the old high school and renovate it, and did it make sense? And we knew right off the bat that we would not get state funding to do that. The second thing is the old high school was in need of some pretty expensive repairs. The lighting updates were needed. It did not have a fire suppression system. The roof was needing replaced. Electrical updates. Windows were in need of updates. And it was not handicap accessible. And so anytime you go and work on an old building, you're going to have to start kind of bringing things up to code. So when you take the fact that there was 70% of the building costs coming from the state in concert with the upgrades that were needed to the old building, the Board of Education decided to just make good financial sense to not try to renovate the old building. The other piece of this puzzle is Rover Pipeline is a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation gift to this community that has transformed it in many ways, right? This funding is not forever. It's not something that you're going to sit back and budget for the next 50 years, because it won't be here for forever. It's going to continue to depreciate. So what we've done with Rover funds has been we've created permanent improvement funds where we focus on making sure we have a safe bus fleet and that we don't have buses that are more than 10 years old and that we're able to maintain them, that we have athletic facilities that are accessible and enjoyable for our community to come to, that our school buildings are well maintained, and then this particular building, the vast majority of Rover funding has gone to pay the mortgage of this building. So our design has been from day one that by the time Rover begins to depreciate down, this building is paid off and our taxpayers are left with a world-class facility and no debt that would need to be taken on by the community.
So another question that we've been getting is, how's our enrollment doing with future generations of students? Is it going up or down?
So like many other schools around us, our enrollment is smaller than it used to be. That is a trend in Ohio that most every Stark County school has seen, and certainly most of the schools around us in Tuscan and Wayne counties has seen. If you look at our last several years, we're pretty stable. So we're sitting at right around 100 to 110 students per class. So our enrollment numbers are sitting right in the range of around 1,300 students. One of the things that we have done is we've made a conscientious decision to really limit open enrollment because the state is not funding it the way they used to. And also, when you're looking at us having a decision to make about, do we have 4 teachers at a grade level or 5, if we begin to take a bunch of students from open enrollment, that may force us to keep a teacher we're not funded for, sure. Right? So we've been really conscientious of limiting open enrollment, having class sizes at a really good place for the educational process. And when you have situations where enrollment is a spot where maybe you can be down a teacher, you attrition that staff when you can so that you maintain a balanced budget. So I would say enrollment is reasonably stable.
Okay, Mr. Hearn, another common question that we're running into is this a new money levy or is this just a renewal levy?
It's a great question. This is a renewal levy. It's the actual ballot language may be a little bit confusing to people because what you're going to see is it's a substitute of an existing levy. And basically what that means is the existing levy goes away and you substitute the levy that would pass potentially in November. But it is a renewal of what was already there. This levy is a fixed sum levy, meaning that it collected the amount of money it collected originally. You're not going to see this levy collect additional revenue from your home. What a substitute levy does that is a little bit different is that it allows for new property, new businesses, things that would be constructed new to add to the value of that, right? Okay. So my family and I, we live in Navarre. Our home was built in the 1970s. This levy collected the same amount of money on that home when it first passed in 1993 as it's going to take if it would renew today. Okay. Now, if I go and I buy a piece of property that has nothing on it and I build something on it, that allows for that to collect on that property as a new piece of property. So that's really the distinguishment between, you know, a substitute levy and an emergency levy, how they're different from one another. But this is absolutely a renewal levy that is not designed to increase taxes on people.
Super, thank you. So Mr. Hearn, I think it's important that the people in our community know what happens if this levy fails.
So this levy has been a part of the Fairless Local Schools budget for a very long time, and it's a reasonably large amount of our budget. It's 10%. And so, you know, the way that we are looking at this right now is it's imperative for us to get this message out to voters, because, you know, imagine your own family's budget if all of a sudden 10% is just gone tomorrow.
Sure.
That's what would happen in the school system. So, you know, if the levy would fail, we would have to go back and attempt another shot at it here in May, because it would expire the following year. And if we're unable to pass it, the district would obviously have to enact cuts to be able to balance the budget. You can't take 1.8 million out of the budget and not have cuts as a result of that.
Sure.
You know, I think in the last round of cuts, we tried as hard as we could to make sure that we did not make cuts that would directly impact kids. That's almost impossible in a school environment, because every person's working with kids at some level or another. But the focus was keep it away from the arts, keep it away from athletics, keep it away from, you know, your academic environment as much as humanly possible. If we would have to go through a deeper round of cuts, you know, I'm not prepared today to say that X, Y, or Z is gone, but what I am prepared to say is that, you know, to come up with a number like, you know, $2 million to cut out of a budget would mean you'd have to look at the entirety of the district budget, because this levy literally supports core operations across the district.
Super, thank you. Last question for you. So if this levy renewal were to fail, how do you think the school's overall performance would be impacted?
So, you know, one of the things we've been working on a lot in the last couple of years is being very mission oriented, right? So our vision statement is Fairless is the community where families want to live, learn, work, and grow, right? And that's a really difficult question to answer, because when you start looking at, you know, how each individual kid coming through a school system is impacted by something, right? Mm-hmm. You have kids who, you know, the arts and music or playhouse, it's their everything. It's what draws them into school. It's exciting to them. It motivates them. There are students that the same is true with athletics and programming that, you know, gets them out under our stadium lights on a Friday night. The bottom line with programs and schools is, no matter where you look at in terms of balancing a budget and making cuts, there's going to be an impact somewhere. And while I don't have a crystal ball that's going to say, you know, I know what will happen if we have to make these cuts, what I can say is I can speak from experience. You know, I've been in the Fairless district as a staff member for over 20 years. I've been here when we've had to do pretty deep cuts, and it's difficult to recover from that. And you know, we can point out periods of time where academically we weren't as strong as what we wanted to be, and athletically and artistically programs received cuts, and then you're trying to rebuild as you're able to. And so I guess what I'd just say is well, I'm not going to predict what would happen. My concern would be is that, you know, well, it's easy to look at dollars and cents and say, oh, if this goes away, the budget's balanced. You got to think of the fact that there's a whole bunch of kids here that that might be the program that they connect with.
Sure.
So that would be my worrying concern, is that some of those things that make this a place that people want to be would be difficult to maintain.
Sure. Well, thank you again so much for your time this evening. We hope that this answers any of your questions that you may have on our upcoming renewal levy. Please remember to go vote for Fairless Local Schools on November 4th, 2025.